Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. In our today's section is a special request from a school which will be used by virtually all the lecturers within the school. How to compute results using Microsoft Excel, using the different function in Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to launch a sample data I have computed using Microsoft Word. Then we see how we can migrate the work to Microsoft Excel. Then compute for the sum, the average, and the remark using the various functions we have in Microsoft Excel. If you've not watched the basics of Microsoft Excel for data analysis, please do your best to go and watch it, learn from it so you can perfect the skills in Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to launch into Microsoft where the result is, and this is how the result is. I just double click on the file on the desktop environment, or you can right click and select the open command. So this is how the result looks like in Microsoft Word. So I'm going to take this result to Microsoft Excel, and I'm going to compute the total, the grade, and the remark using the various functions in Microsoft Excel. This is a must-know knowledge for all the lecturers in every institution. It will help them in computing their results and having their personal result in their system where they can always make reference to. So let's start by launching Microsoft Excel. So I'm going to click on the Start button. I'm going to look for Microsoft Excel. It's already on the pin icons here, but if it's not here, you can as well as go to All Program and look for Microsoft Excel. So let me use the one on the pin icon. So I'll click on it once. So when it launch, so I have this window where we have the blank, the template. I don't need any template. I want to start the work from the scratch. So I'll click on the blank workbook. When I click on the blank workbook, I have this environment. So I'm going to do some expository teaching before I commence the computation of the result. So when I click here, I notice that I have the heading here being MBN Tech Academy. I have the year, I have the course here, then we have the date here as seen here. So I'm going to go back to Microsoft Excel. So I'm using this method to teach you how to match cell. For example, we have MBN Tech Academy. So how do I combine those texts? If I type directly, you can type directly NBN, then Tech Academy, or you can copy and paste. Let's use, okay, I've typed this one already. So what I will do, like I told you in our first lesson, in our previous section, I said this text is on cell A1. This is the cell reference showing that it's on A1, but it has overflowed here. But that does not mean that cell B1 is not empty. B1 is equally empty. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to merge the cell and center the cell. So I'll click from A1, click and hold on to it, move my mouse pointer to where I have my M. So I just click and drag to M. So from here now, I'm going to select my merge and center. Merge and center. So where do I get my merge and center? I'll come to my alignment group. Don't forget, this is the home tab. On the home tab, we have the ribbon, and the ribbon have various grouping. We have the clipboard group, the font group, the alignment. So on the alignment, I have here my merge and center. So I'll click on that pointing down here. I'm going to merge the cell and center it. So I'll click here. It's now at the center. At this point now, I have merged from A to M to make it a single cell because I want my result to be well represented. So I'm going to increase the font size from 11, let me say 14. I can equally change the font if I so wish. Then I can bold, it's already bold, so I can change my color of the text. I can equally change the field color to a very light, a very light color, something of such. So now, if you look at the Microsoft Word now, let me use the copy and paste command. Now I have my academic section there, so I'll select it, come to my clipboard group to copy, go back to my Excel, then come to cell A2 and I'll paste it here. So when I paste it, this is how it looks like. So I'm going to merge the cell. Don't forget, I'll click from here, move to M. Then I'm going to merge and center. Merge and center. You can merge across that. There are different types of merge here. You can merge cell. I'll merge and allow it to be at the center. So I'm having my format now gradually. So the next one again, I'm going to go back to Microsoft Word. I'll copy the course here, showing the result sheet. So I'll highlight it, copy it, go back to Microsoft Excel. So I want to replicate the same heading I have there over here. So I'll paste it here. As usual, I'll click and highlight from cell A3 to where I have my M. Then I'll merge and center. To merge and center, I say you come to alignment group, you click on the drop down arrow, you see the first command, merge and center. So you're having it this way. So likewise, I'll do the same thing to the date, the course title, if I want it to be on the same line too. So I can select it all, copy it, go back to Microsoft Excel. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to paste it here. This is how it looks like. But I'm going to merge all of them, select merge and center. Then I'll now space it to have what I think this is how it was. So, but at this point, you can come over here. Don't forget, we say we have various mode indicator. Currently now, mode indicator is on ready. So if I want to space here, I'll click once. If I strike any key on the keyboard like G, it will automatically override what is inside there. See what I see? So I'll press my Ctrl Z to undo. Good. So I'll click inside, double click on the cell twice, 1, 2. Then from there, I can now use my space bar key to space my character. Then course title, can click in there to space. So you can use the space to just make sure that the cell is well spaced to contain the various content you type in the cell. So now what do we do now? The basic thing now we want to do now we are now back to here now where we are going to have our serial number, the names, the matric number, the attendance, and so on. So we're going to copy, we can copy the entire table, then we are going to format it in Microsoft Excel. Don't forget, our target is how to get the total, how to get the grade, how to get the remark in Microsoft Excel within the shortest period of time. Rather than you calculating it manually, 7 plus 21 plus this, it will take a long time. Imagine if these students were more than 400 in the class, we only have 94 here. It will take you more than how many hours, but in Microsoft Excel, it can take you a limited number of time, less than 10 minutes, you're done. So let me select it. Now I'm going to select the entire table by clicking here to highlight the entire table. So I'm going to copy the table. I'm going to go back to my Excel. Some lecturers will have typed it directly on the Excel, type the entire names on the Excel, then start the arrangement, the computation on Microsoft Excel. But since we have it in Microsoft Word already, that's how it was sent to me. So we are trying to bring it in Excel so we can get our sum, get our grade, get our remark. So on cell A5, I'm going to paste that table. I'm going to paste it. I've copied it in Microsoft Word, so I'm going to paste it here. So I have my table this way. So now we're going to format this table now. Look at how it looks like. It looks very clumsy. So we're going to expand the cell. So how do I expand my cell? On cell A5, I want to reduce the serial number. Then the name of the student on cell, which is on cell B5. I'll come here and expand the cell. So you can expand using this method. The matric number, so I'm going to come over here and expand it. So I have this as matric number. So can I expand this? Let it be on one single line. Good. So we have something of such. We have this, we have their names here, we have their matric number. I can change this if there's an error. I can stick to matric number. So I come click inside. I can double click into inside here twice. One, two. Then come and backspace. Delete whatever you don't want. I prefer matric underscore number. So I'll use the underscore sign. So I go back, delete, use my shift and my minus to have my underscore sign for that. If you look at the result, the spaces are much. We are going to format that very, very soon. We're going to format that very, very soon. Okay, let's start by getting the total. To get the total, we are using the sum function. We are using the sum function. What is the sum function? The sum function is used to add numbers together. It can add individual number, cell reference, or range of cell. So how do I add numbers? How do I sum this now? We use the sum function. The sum function has its own syntax, which we are going to see how it is made up of. So to start my function, don't forget our golden rule. We begin every function with equality sign. So I'll start is equals to. I'll type my sum, S-U-M. This is the sum function. Look at the syntax. Add all numbers in a range of cell. So I'm going to open my bracket. I can click on it here. When I click on it here, this is how it looks like. It has opened the bracket. So now the bracket shows you're adding num1, num2, num3 till infinity. So I'm adding from cell D7 to column F7. Don't forget, we say when naming a cell, we consider the column coordinate, which is the D now. The 7 is in D and is on 7. So D7 column, this is F7. So I'll come here. There are two methods you can do. You can come and click on the cell and drag to where you have the exams. So when I click and drag, you notice that we have sum D7 column F7. Have you seen it? Or you can decide to type it manually. If you're sure of what you are doing, you can type D7 and hold your hand on shift key and touch your column F7. F7. But why will you stress yourself in typing when you can click and drag? So you click and drag to have the cell range. The column here you're seeing here is to show range between D and F. So you rest your hand on shift key and touch the 0 to close the bracket. So with this now, you've been able to apply the sum function to add from the attendance here to the exam. So when I strike my enter key, I have my result. So this is how you can compute your sum using the sum function. So automatically now, in our previous class, we learned how to use the autofill. How to use the autofill. You can use the autofill, of course, on this cell. So I can click and drag down. When I click and drag down, I have the result showing 50. In other words, you can also click here and click on the autofill button twice. 1, 2, 1, 2. You have automatic result in all the cells. So Excel has computed the result of 94 students in less than how many seconds using the autofill command. So at this point, you can come here, drag and adjust your cell. You see, immediately we did the autofill, the table automatically adjusted itself to fit into each of the student rows and column. So this is what we did. I want to undo and repeat the action again so you can get it very well. At any point you want to see the function, you can click on any cell and look straight on your formula bar where you can see how it was computed. So I will undo Control plus Z, Control plus Z again, Control Z, Control Z. I want to repeat myself again. So I use my equality sign, SUM, for sum. You can click on the sum here. We have sum, we have the sum is and the rest, but today we are sticking to the sum only. So I'll click on it twice. Then when the bracket is open, I click from where the first scores is to where the last score, which is the exam, is. Then I close my bracket by holding my shift key and touching my key number 0 to close the bracket. When I strike my enter key, I have the result of the first person. Now I can click on the cell where I have the 66 and use the autofill by clicking on it twice, 1, 2. So I have the result of the entire student. So if there were 500, if there were 1,000, you can use the autofill to get the result of your entire student for the total column. See how simple it is? Thank you for watching this far. Hope you're having value for the class, how to use Microsoft Excel in compilation of results. Let's return back to class, but don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. See you in class. See how simple it is? So that's how simple it is to get results in Microsoft Excel. So if it was in Microsoft Word, I'm switching back to Microsoft Word, I would have been doing manual calculation. This plus this plus this, this plus this plus this. So, but I took the work to Microsoft Excel to learn how to compute the total. So this can be helpful to all teachers, all lecturers using Microsoft Excel to compute your result. Now let's go back to the grade. The grade, we are going to use a function called the if function. We are using the if function. Here in the grade, the lecturer wants to know if the student has an A, or if the student has a B, if the student has a C, or D, or F, as the case may be. It depends on the grading system you're using in your school. Some school, if you have from 80 to 100, the student has an A plus. While in some school, when you have from 70 to 80, you have an A, no plus. When you have 60 and above, 60 to 70, you have, so you can set your criteria. We're going to use the if to have the A, the B, the C regarding how the scores is here. So let's start with the if function. Somebody may likely ask me, what is if function? The if function in Excel is the function that is used to make decision. It is used to make decision. You want to see the, okay, let's go back to the total again. You can see how how the function looks like here. So the if function here is used to make decision. It checks whether a condition is true or false. It also returns one value if the condition is true and the other value if the condition is false. So let's dive into using the if function. So don't forget the golden rule. One of the golden rule is that you must begin every function with what? An is equals to sign. So I'll start with is equals to. This function is going to be extremely very long, so you can pause the video and copy it down. Then later you practice it while you have your own time. Okay, to start the if function, I'll start by equality sign. I'll now type the if, then you can see here, check whether a condition is met and return one value if true, and return the value if false. So it's a conditional statement that returns one value if the result is true and return the other if the result is false. So, but these ifs are going to use, we're going to use nested ifs inside ifs. So let's start now. So I hold my shift key and open my bracket. So now we want to test the logic now. Logical test value underscore if true, comma, value underscore if false. So I'll say now, the 60 now is on which of the cell? Which of the cell? 60 is on cell G7. G7. So I'm going to reference that cell. If on cell G7, the result is, I want to use greater than sign. I'll use the sign, shift greater than. or is equals to 80. That was the condition I was given. So I'm going to use comma now. So let's follow it. I'm going to be very slow now so that you get the syntax very well. So I'm going to open quotation. If the result is 80, open the quotation, give the student A plus. A plus. So if the student scores 80 and above, let the remark be A plus. The quotation means that that is what we want to see at the end of running a if. Anything in quotation will be what will appear on your cell when you strike the enter. So that's the first instruction that was given by the school. If a student has 80 plus, please remark the person 80 plus. If he has 80, remark the person A, then comma. We're going to use another if again. If again on cell, we are still making reference to cell G7. G7. The student scores 70 and above. Greater than 70. Result is greater than or is equal to 70. So if I have 70 to 80, comma, remark the student only A, then you close the quotation. So you've set two rules there. If a student has 80 and above, remark the student A plus. But if the student has 70 to 79, remark the student only A. Then let's go back again. If again, so we have this is the third time we're repeating the if. The first if, the second if. If on the cell, open bracket again, open the second bracket, the third bracket rather, open the third bracket. If on cell G7, the student has, the result is greater than or is equals to, greater than or is equals to 60, comma, you open quotation, let the student have a B, you close the quotation. Use comma again, if again, on cell G7, if on cell G7 the student has 50 and above, so I'll use greater than or equal to 50, comma, remark that student as having a C in his result, comma. So we've done the first if for 80 plus, we've done the second if for 70 and above, we've done the third if for 60, we've done the fourth if for 50. Now we're going to do the fifth if now for 40. So in some schools, from 40 and above, you've passed. So from 39 below, you have failed. So let's do the last one. That is for 50. So let's do for 40, comma, if now on cell, open bracket, on cell G7, you will now put is greater than or equal to 40, comma, remark the student what? D. So I'll put D in quotation, then comma. Now this is what we are going to end it now. This is the logical test, value if true. All these values we've done so are value if true. If it is false, now what should we remark the student? If all these things now are true, give the student A or A plus or B or C and D. If it is not true, what should we do? Remark the student what? F. So when I put the command now open another quotation now and put the F. So if all these conditions are not met, please fail that student, put an F for the result. If the student doesn't score up to 40 and above, and each of the scores has its own grading point as listed here as value if true. But if the value is not true, what should happen? That's when I now open the quotation and say, please, comma, F in quotation. So now in if function, you close all the brackets open. You're going to close all of them when you're done with the value, if false. So the value if false is that if all this condition is not met, please let the scores or let the grade be F. So I'm going to close the bracket. So I'll hold my shift key and close the first bracket, close the second bracket, close the third bracket, close the fourth bracket. So we count that we open the first bracket here, we have the second bracket here, we have the third bracket, fourth bracket, fifth bracket. So we are going to close it with the number of brackets. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that is all we have. Okay, that is all the brackets. So when we are done, you can pause the video and look at how the formula is. It depends on the grade you're using in your school. If your school say, okay, if you don't score from 50 and above, let the student fail. So at this point here, when you reach 50 here, you can put comma, then put quotation F. And so when I strike my enter key, okay, Excel is telling me we found a typo in your formula. So we're gonna study the formula. Okay, it worked now. So I'm going to click on it again. We're going to go through it on our formula bar. On our formula bar. On our formula bar, you see, if on cell G7, the result is greater than or equal to 80, we mark the student A plus, comma. If on that same cell, the result is greater than or equal to 70, we mark the student A. Now, this is not A plus again. Then if on that same cell, the result is greater than or equal to 60 and above, we mark that student a B. On that same cell again, if the result is greater than or equal to 50, we mark the student a C. Then on that same cell, if again, on cell G7, the result is greater than or equal to 40, which is the pass mark, we mark the student D. Else, this is where the value if not true place in now. Else, we mark the student F. So you look at it now, from our statement here, a student that have 60 and above, 60 to 69 has an AB. So with this now, the if function is working here. So as usual, I'll come to my auto field. I'll double click twice, 1, 2. So we have the grade for all the entire student. All the entire student. You follow our rule, look at it now. This student had 33, and according to our rule here, value if false is that when you have anything below 40 is an F. So this is how we use our if function. With this now, you can automatically get an A and B. If you're writing this thing manually, there are instances that you can make mistake. And how long will you write for over 300 students or 400 students, as the case may be? So you can use your if function, the nested ifs inside if, to compute the result for the grade. So you see, as simple as it is. You can pause the video, then copy down this formula and understand how it is arranged. If your grade says 60, give the student B plus, you can as well as set it up here. If you have any challenge or you want to contact me for this, you can as well as chat me up using the link on the comment section. Let's do the remark so we can save this work. Let's do the remark for the student. So the remark here is that if the student has 40 and above, remark the person pass. If he has below 40, remark the student fail. So how do we do that? We are still going to use the if function. We are going to use the if function, but this if will not be as long as the nested if. It's just a simple if now. So how do we get that now? Use your equality, use your is equals to sign for the if now. So I start with the equality sign. If you open the bracket, if until, so we're going to make reference to the column G now. If on cell G what we are making reference to, so we're getting our pass and fail using our total scores. We are using these scores now. If on cell G7 the result is greater than or equal to 40, comma, remark the student pass, you close the quotation, then comma, are we there? Comma, else you open the quotation and remark the student or remark the student fail. So you close the quotation. So if on cell G7 the student have 40 and above, remark the student pass. Anything outside that which is value if false. Remember I told that if you're working with if function return true value if the result is true and return false if the value is false. So the true value is 40 for pass, the false value is anything below 40, let the result be fail. So I'll close the quotation here, then I'll strike my enter key. I'll strike my enter key. So from the result here, he has gotten above 40. So that is why we are having pass for him. So let me use the autofill. I come to the tip here as usual. I'll double click twice, 1, 2. So I have my result for my entire 94 students. I have my result for my entire 94 students. See, this student did not pass, so automatically fail. So you can use your if function. What I used there was I used my sum function to get my total. I use my if function, my nested if, to get the grading, and I use my if also to remark pass or fail. If you have any question, drop it on the comment section. If you're having value for this class, please recommend, share, and like this video. When we are done, we can copy this work back to Microsoft Word and send it to the maybe exam officer or anybody that wants to use the result, and so on and so forth. Or we can as well as save it here and use the result here when needed. So how do I save my results now? Okay, let me just beautify this now by, so we can format our table by just adding a little effect on it. For example, I can click on this. I can increase the font size also. When you're done with your result, you can change the font size and add some effects. You can change the color. You can change the color to any color of your choice. You can beautify your table. Then there's an effect I want us to equally learn how to apply. We can as well as decide to make our grade. I'll select the column for grade, this grade. Then I use what we call conditional formatting. And I select what we call color scale. Let's say, for example, you want to know the students that probably failed and students that passed through the color. You can decide to make use of this color. If I click on this color now, if you observe closely now, students who had 0, the color is on yellow. So those who had green shows that you've passed extremely very well. In our next section, we're going to learn how to format this table. But today's class was just aimed at how you can use the sum function, the if function to compute result, copy the result back to Microsoft Word, or save the result the way it is. So I'm going to save this result, click on File, select the Save or the Save As command. So when I click on it, I have this window browse. I can change the file name here, compile result. I just use complete result, and I'll save it on my document. So when it is needed, or let me save it on my desktop so that I can send it to the recipient as soon as possible. So my Excel format, you can decide to change the format. XML, you can change to a web, you can change it to even PDF and so on. It's a choice. It's a choice. So, but I'll leave it in my Excel format. Then I'll click on save. Don't forget the file name has changed. Initially, it was book one. Now you have the complete result here as the file name. You can format the text to suit whatever you want and save your work. So my work is saved.
Yes,
Thank you
so
very
one of the advantage of using the if function and the sum function is that at any time there is a correction on the attendance or the assessment or the exams, the total will automatically change and the grade also will change. Don't forget to get your sum. You see the function using the formula bar. The grade also, you see how it is gotten using the formula bar. Then the remark also, you see how the formula is using the function bar. So let's correct this now. Let's assume the student scored above 5, the student had 7. If I strike my enter key, the 60 has changed. The student scored 25, but in exam, the student had 45. If I strike my enter key to authenticate the 45, you notice that the total has changed, the grade has changed. So that is the beauty of using the sum function and the ifs. So at any point any correction is done on the result here, it will automatically affect it on the total, on the grade, as well as the remark if need be. So that is the beauty of using the sum function and the if function in compilation of result. Practice this at home. Drop your output or your result in the comment section. Thank you for your time. Let's save this work. So I click on file and select the save command. When I click on the save command, the changes I've done here has been authenticated. So my sheet has been renamed to result. If I want to change the sheet name there, I can right click and change the name here to results, or I can save it NBN results. So you can as well as do that change over there. When you're done, you can close your work and save your work. You can close it from this point, and that is the end of the practice. Drop your reaction, drop your comment in the section below. Thank you very much. See you in my next section.
So at this point, you will notice that anytime you change the scores, be it the assessment, be it the test, be it the exams, there's always an automatic update on the result and the outcome. So if a score is changed from 10 to 30, you see Excel will automatically correct the grade and also the remark. That is how simple it is. You can pause the video and practice it over and over and over. Don't forget to give it a like, don't forget to share it, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's continue.